video you're about to see is extremely graphic.
Under the wan sunlight of New York, outside the Manhattan Federal Courthouse, the air burned like a furnace. The low murmurs of the crowd blended with the sharp bursts of camera flashes, creating an unforgiving media storm. On May 5th, 2025, the world held its breath as Sean Diddy Combs, once the untouchable powerhouse of hip-hop, stood trial. Though the courtroom doors remained tightly shut, keeping every proceeding hidden from view, the turbulent drama outside was already shaking the foundations of Diddy's seemingly impenetrable empire, like a sandcastle bracing for the tide. Cassandra Cassie Ventura, the former lover who had been the flame that warmed Diddy's world for nearly a decade, emerged unexpectedly from the shadows with explosive revelations powerful enough to rattle the core of Hollywood. At 38, she was no longer the young songstress enamored with the glitter of fame, but a resilient woman, ready to confront her painful past and demand justice. Meanwhile, veteran attorney Anthony L. Rico, once Diddy's steadfast legal shield, stunned the public when he walked away from the defense team in February 2025, leaving behind a vacuum steeped in questions. His sudden departure, eerily timed with Cassie's revelations, stirred speculation. Was this a personal betrayal, or the work of an invisible force silently dismantling Diddy's defense from within? This trial is more than a legal showdown. It is a clash between the dazzling brilliance of a storied past and the dark secrets rising from beneath. Every development, every word from Cassie, every move by Rico feels like a puzzle piece revealing long-buried truths. Can Diddy weather this storm, or will his empire collapse under the weight of the very shadows he tried to bury? Step with us into the eye of the storm, where truth and power wage a brutal war to determine the fate of a legend. Understand why Sean Diddy Combs, an emblem of American pop culture, now finds himself in the defendant's chair at a New York courtroom in 2025. We must retrace the arc of his life from a boy raised amid hardship to a symbol of power and opulence, and finally, a man entangled in a legal maelstrom. Born on November 4th, 1969, in Harlem, New York, Sean Combs grew up in a rough neighborhood where the American dream often felt out of reach. At just 3 years old, he lost his father, Melvin Combs, who was shot and killed in a drug deal gone wrong. Raised by his mother, Janice, a teacher and part-time model, Sean was instilled with both love and a fierce sense of discipline. From an early age, he showed signs of audacity and drive. As a teenager, he took up odd jobs like delivering newspapers, fueled by a desire to escape Harlem's shadows. Though he never completed his studies at Howard University, it was there that he honed his business acumen and built the networks that would later propel him to the top. In the early 1990s, Sean, now known as Puff Daddy, shook the music world to its core. After being dismissed from Uptown Records, he founded Bad Boy Records in 1993. The label transformed unknown artists like the Notorious Big and Mary J. Blige into legends, catapulting New York hip-hop to a global audience. With his sharp instincts and relentless ambition, Diddy expanded far beyond music. In 1998, he launched the fashion brand Sean John, later forged a lucrative partnership with Chirac Vodka, and produced reality TV hits like Making the Band. Lavish contracts, star-studded mansion parties in the Hamptons, and electrifying stadium performances cemented Diddy as the embodiment of the American success story, a black man who defied the odds and redefined power on his own terms. Yet beneath the glittering surface, shadows were beginning to form. Since the late 1990s, Diddy had been the subject of numerous controversies, from assault allegations stemming from a 1999 nightclub altercation to persistent rumors of manipulation and control in his personal relationships. Though many of these incidents were quietly settled or faded from public view, they sowed seeds of doubt about the man behind the persona. Things erupted in 2023 when a cascade of civil lawsuits accused Diddy of sexual misconduct, coercion, and even orchestrating a network of sex trafficking. At the center of the storm was Cassie Ventura, his former partner from 2007 to 2008. In May 2024, CNN released surveillance footage from 2016 showing Diddy assaulting her in a hallway at the Intercontinental Hotel, footage that sent shockwaves across the media landscape. Cassie's subsequent revelations about so-called freak-off parties, allegedly used as a front for illicit activities, further intensified the scrutiny. Federal prosecutors, after years of quiet investigation, launched a full-scale offensive. Over 100 electronic devices were seized from Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. More than 50 witnesses, many of them women who had worked for or were close to him, were interviewed. Piece by piece, a picture began to emerge of a highly organized operation allegedly run under his direction. While held in pre-trial detention, Diddy submitted 4 bail applications between late 2024 and early 2025, citing the need to consult with legal counsel. All were denied by the court, which expressed concerns about flight risk and witness tampering. Legal analysts, including Danny Cevallos on MSNBC on May 3, 2025, viewed these motions as last-ditch efforts to preserve a crumbling legacy. On the morning of May 5, 2025, jury selection began in New York as the official trial opened, drawing global attention. Nearly 200 names were submitted to the court as potentially relevant figures, but none loomed larger than Cassie. Once a romantic partner, she now stood as the pivotal witness whose testimony could shape Diddy's fate. With the hashtag #Diddy trial garnering over 20 million interactions on X, the world watches, eager to see whether the once untouchable hip-hop mogul will withstand the storm or collapse under the weight of the truths Cassie and others have brought to light. As Sean Diddy Combs' once unshakable empire began to crack under the weight of mounting allegations, Cassie Ventura, his former partner of nearly a decade, stepped out of the shadows to become a key witness, shaking the foundations of Hollywood. At 38, Cassie is no longer the doe-eyed songstress clinging to the coattails of a hip-hop mogul. She's a woman transformed, resilient, unflinching, and armed with the courage to confront a harrowing past. The day she released undeniable evidence was more than the close of a painful chapter. It was the spark that ignited a historic legal battle, one she had quietly prepared for after years of silence. Cassie Ventura sat alone in her quiet apartment, the blue light from her laptop screen casting shadows across her face as silent tears streamed down. On the screen played footage from March 5, 2016, filmed at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles, a memory she had once tried to bury. At 38, Cassie was no longer the vibrant young artist with stars in her eyes. The woman watching that video was hardened by time, armed now with the bravery to face her scars. When CNN released the footage in May 2024, it shocked the world. But for Cassie, it was a brutal reminder of years spent trapped in fear and voicelessness. The hotel hallway unfolded on screen, dim ceiling lights casting long shadows on cold marble floors. Cassie, clad in a thin white bathrobe, stumbled down the corridor, her disheveled black hair flying in panic. She glanced back, wide-eyed, terrified, like prey sensing the predator behind. And there he was, Diddy charging toward her like an unstoppable storm. Muscled, towering, clad in a tight black t-shirt, his face twisted with unrestrained fury. In a flash, he seized her shoulders with both hands, his grip so forceful it sent her reeling. A brutal shove threw her to the ground, her knees slamming into the marble with a sickening thud. She scrambled to crawl away, trembling fingers clawing at the tile grooves. But Diddy didn't stop. He kicked her hard in the side, hard enough to make her flinch, breathless. Another blow struck her shoulder, driving her head into the floor, her hair veiling a face contorted in pain. "You think you can run from me?" he growled, his voice low, sharp as a curse whispered through gritted teeth. Cassie didn't scream. She didn't beg. She curled inward in silence, her vacant eyes staring into nothingness. The security camera, cold and impassive, captured every moment, the savagery of Diddy, the helplessness of Cassie, and the dead silence of that desolate hallway. The footage lasted under 60 seconds, but every frame was a blade slicing into Cassie's soul. When she submitted it to prosecutors in late 2024, according to the New York Times, it wasn't just a legal move, it was a declaration, "I will no longer be silent." She knew it would change her life forever, hurling her into the heart of a media storm, into the crossfire of scrutiny and retaliation. But Cassie had grown tired of living in the shadows. The images, raw with pain and fear, unleashed a wave of public outrage. On X, the hashtag #CassieSpeaks exploded with over 15 million engagements in just 24 hours per Sprout Social. Users hailed her as the flame that challenged the giant, flooding the platform with messages like "Cassie is fighting not just for herself, but for every survivor who's ever stayed quiet." Yet fame wasn't what she sought. She wanted justice not just for her own wounds, but for those who had suffered silently just like her. Diddy, now under the glare of global scrutiny, refused to let a single video destroy his legacy. His legal team, led by 58-year-old Mark Agnifilo, who once defended NXIVM cult leader Keith Raniere, launched an immediate counteroffensive. In a statement quoted by Forbes on May 5, 2025, Agnifilo described the footage as a highly choreographed smear campaign, insisting it showed only a tense moment in a toxic relationship, not a criminal act. He pointed to the $30 million settlement Cassie had accepted in 2023, according to Page 6, and posed a chilling question: is this the truth, or a revenge narrative carefully scripted for effect? His remarks sent tremors through X, where the hashtag #DiddyDefends racked up 8 million interactions. Some backed Diddy, claiming the video lacked context, but the majority raged, branding the statement brazen and desperate. One user wrote, "Diddy thinks money and lawyers can erase the truth, but Cassie just rewrote the rules of the game." Despite his team's efforts to spin the narrative, the impact of the video was irreversible. It wasn't just footage, it was a symbol, a reckoning, a blow to the myth of Diddy's invincibility. But the video was only the beginning. With steely resolve, Cassie delved deeper into her memories, uncovering shocking details of illicit operations Diddy believed were buried for good. Among the most disturbing revelations, the infamous freak-off parties, lavish affairs that prosecutors now allege served as fronts for sex trafficking. Cassie recalled a summer night in 2012 at Diddy's Hamptons mansion, a dazzling yet disquieting evening. Electronic music pulsed through the air. Crystal chandeliers scattered light across pristine white walls. Celebrities and moguls raised flutes of champagne, laughing under ambient glow. But beneath the glamour, something felt off. A group of young women, some barely 17 or 18, drifted into view in tight dresses, heavily made-up faces betraying vacant stares, like dolls under someone else's control. Diddy, sharply dressed in a sleek black suit, introduced them as models, flashing his signature grin. But as Cassie edged closer, she overheard him whisper to his assistant Gina Hooney, "Make sure they're ready for the VIPs tonight, no slip-ups." His voice was low, cold, devoid of hesitation, like he was finalizing a business deal. At 26, Cassie tried to convince herself this was simply how the elite lived. But after leaving Diddy in 2018 and reading the civil lawsuits filed in 2023, she realized she had witnessed a web of exploitation. "I lived in his world," she told NBC News on May 6, 2025, her voice heavy with regret and resolve, "but I didn't see the truth until I stepped out of it." The freak-off revelations ignited a firestorm. According to The Guardian, May 7, 2025, the FBI widened its investigation, raiding Diddy's residences in Los Angeles and Miami, seizing documents and interviewing witnesses. Agents uncovered guest lists, schedules, and even invoices for special services rendered during the parties. Cassie supplied crucial intel, names of organizers, recruitment methods for girls often lured by promises of fame, vulnerable, young, replaceable. Each fact she disclosed was another arrow piercing Diddy's fortress. On X, #Diddy Exposed surged past 10 million engagements. One viral post read, "Cassie's not just exposing Diddy, she's dismantling an entire..." Another declared, "Those girls deserve protection, not exploitation." Thank you, Cassie, for speaking out. The public, once enamored with Diddy's charisma, now turned against him. The parties once glamorized were now denounced as gilded prisons, and the industry's silence began to feel complicit. As the shock of Sean Diddy Combs' former girlfriend confirming her role as a key witness in court was still reverberating, an even more stunning development sent the public into a frenzy. In late February 2025, the case of Sean Diddy Combs, one of the most powerful figures in the entertainment industry, entered an unprecedented phase of tension when his legal team faced a major upheaval: the abrupt withdrawal of veteran criminal defense attorney Anthony L. Ricco. This event, coupled with shocking revelations from Cassie Ventura and frantic efforts to bolster the legal team ahead of the May 5, 2025 trial, not only shook Diddy's meticulously crafted defense strategy, but also raised questions about whether his carefully constructed protective system was crumbling from within. With new evidence, suspicions of external pressures, and last-minute personnel changes, this saga has become one of Hollywood's most gripping legal dramas, where truth and power intertwine in a relentless battle. In a quiet Manhattan office, Anthony L. Ricco, a seasoned criminal defense attorney with over 3 decades of experience, sat before an oak desk, his pensive gaze fixed on the withdrawal motion he had just drafted. On February 21, 2025, that brief document, with only a few succinct lines, would send shockwaves through the case of Sean Diddy Combs, one of the entertainment industry's most formidable titans. Ricco, 62, who had previously defended John A. Gotti in mafia trials and Jeffrey Skilling in the Enron scandal, was not one to back down easily. But the phrase "I can no longer serve effectively," as reported by the Wall Street Journal on February 22, 2025, was like a stone cast into a still lake, unleashing a storm of speculation about the secrets behind his decision. Ricco's withdrawal was not merely a personnel change, it was the first crack in the legal fortress Diddy had built to counter grave allegations of sex trafficking, violence, and extortion. Ricco joined Diddy's team in October 2024, shortly after his arrest, as reported by Reuters. With his extensive experience, he was expected to be a steadfast shield, capable of turning the tide against mounting evidence. Yet, just 4 months later, he stepped away, leaving a void that could not be immediately filled. According to a source close to the case cited by the New York Post on February 25, 2025, Rico's decision may have been tied to a new batch of documents provided to prosecutors by Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former partner. These documents, including a supplemental surveillance video from 2017 at a Miami hotel and internal emails from Diddy's team, were said to contain indefensible details, forcing Rico, a lawyer renowned for his high ethical standards, into an internal conflict. Rico isn't the type to abandon a client over media pressure, legal analyst Ailey Honig opined on CNN on February 24, 2025. If he walked away, it's because he saw a legal or ethical risk too great to continue. Rico's withdrawal came at a critical juncture, just as Cassie Ventura, 38, agreed to testify in court. Cassie, who had been entwined with Diddy for nearly a decade, emerged as a pivotal witness not only for her personal experiences, but also for the razor-sharp evidence she provided. According to Bloomberg on March 3, 2025, she submitted a video from July 12, 2017, capturing Diddy threatening her in a Miami hotel hallway. Though not yet public, the video was described as deeply troubling by sources in the New York Times. It depicted Diddy in a fit of rage, raising his fist inches from Cassie's face, shouting, "How do you want this to end, Cass?" Cassie, cowering in a corner, remained silent, her eyes brimming with fear. Beyond the video, Cassie provided emails from one of Diddy's assistants, containing instructions to delete recordings from a 2014 freak-off party in Las Vegas. This evidence, as reported by Rolling Stone on May 4, 2025, transformed Cassie from a victim into a flame confronting a giant, with the potential to unravel the illicit network prosecutors accused Diddy of orchestrating. The timing of Cassie's evidence submission and Rico's withdrawal sparked a flurry of questions. On X, the hashtag #RicoExit amassed 5 million interactions within 48 hours, with the account at Legal Eagle in Nice boasting 400,000 followers, posting Rico ditches Diddy just as Cassie lands a knockout blow. Coincidence? Hardly. The post garnered 300,000 likes, reflecting the public's intense curiosity. TMZ, in an article on February 23, 2025, reported rumors that Rico had received a threatening email from an anonymous source demanding he exit the case. Though unverified, the rumor fueled conspiracy theories. Some Reddit users speculated that external forces, perhaps business rivals or powerful figures tied to the freak-off events, had pressured Rico. Others believed his conscience, confronted with Cassie's irrefutable evidence, could no longer bear defending Diddy. Rico isn't the type to flee, one user wrote on the Ross Legal Drama Forum. If he left, it's because he knows Diddy's chances are slim. Rico's departure plunged Diddy's legal team into disarray. According to Variety on February 28, 2025, Diddy urgently hired Susan Necheles, a renowned criminal defense attorney who had represented Donald Trump in his 2023 New York case. Necheles, 59, was known for her tenacious courtroom style and adept handling of high-profile media storms. She immediately requested a postponement of the May 5, 2025 trial, citing the need for more time to review 96 electronic devices seized from Diddy's properties, as reported by The Guardian on March 1, 2025. But Judge Arun Subramanian denied the motion, emphasizing that the case has lingered too long. This ruling intensified the pressure on Necheles, who faced a daunting array of evidence, from Cassie's video to documents collected by the FBI during raids in Los Angeles and Miami. The pressure escalated as Cassie continued to provide new information. In a heartfelt interview with Oprah Daily on May 5, 2025, she shared, "I couldn't live another day in silence. What I saw, what I endured, had to be spoken." Her confession, paired with chilling details about the freak-off parties, sent shockwaves through the public. NBC News on May 6, 2025, quoted Cassie recounting a 2014 night in Las Vegas where she saw a young girl about 16 led into a VIP room with a panicked expression. "I asked Sean if she was okay," Cassie recalled, her voice breaking. "He laughed and said, 'She'll be fine, let them do their job.'" Quote. After that night, Cassie received an email from an assistant instructing her to delete all photos from the event. "I kept that email knowing one day the truth would need it," she said. The email, verified by prosecutors, became a critical piece of evidence, exposing Diddy's attempts at concealment. Cassie's new evidence further destabilized Diddy's legal team. According to the New York Post on May 2, 2025, the team was split between two strategies: outright denial, labeling the accusations as Cassie's smear campaign, or admitting some actions while blaming a complex relationship. Necheles, with her media-savvy experience, leaned toward denial, but public pressure made this approach precarious. On X, #CassieSpeaks hit 20 million interactions, with users proclaiming Cassie is exposing an entire system, not just Diddy. A viral post read, "If Diddy's lawyers can't agree, how can they beat Cassie?" The legal drama peaked 3 days before the trial when Diddy added a second attorney, Benjamin Brafman, formerly Harvey Weinstein's lawyer, as reported by the New York Times on May 2, 2025. Brafman, 76, was renowned for handling high-profile abuse cases brought in to counter Cassie's testimony and other witnesses. But the move was seen as a sign of desperation. Legal expert Danny Cevallos commented on MSNBC on May 3, 2025, adding Brafman at the last minute shows Diddy's team is in panic mode. They know Cassie is their biggest threat. On X, *Diddy trial reached 25 million interactions in 48 hours, with users predicting Brafman's skilled but he can't save Diddy from Cassie's video and emails. The legal team's turmoil wasn't just from Cassie's evidence but also external pressures. The Daily Beast on May 4, 2025 reported that Nechelise received dozens of anonymous emails accusing her of defending a criminal. Though no direct threats were confirmed, these emails heightened the team's stress. An anonymous staffer told Variety, "We're working 18-hour days, but every time Cassie speaks, our strategy has to start over." Media pressure was unrelenting. Rolling Stone on May 4, 2025 headlined, "Diddy faces judgment. Can his new legal team turn the tide?" The article questioned whether Nechelise and Brafman, despite their expertise, could weather the Cassie storm. Rico's withdrawal, initially a single event, became a catalyst for a cascade of legal turbulence. The Guardian on May 6, 2025, reported that the FBI expanded its investigation based on Cassie's documents, including guest lists from freak-off events and invoices for special services. These findings piled pressure on the legal team, already struggling to refute evidence. A prosecutor's source, cited by NBC News, stated, "We have enough to paint a picture of a decades-long criminal network." This assertion, combined with Cassie's resolve, left Nechelise and Brafman facing a near-impossible task, convincing a jury of Diddy's innocence or, at minimum, portraying him as a victim of a toxic relationship. But the drama extended beyond the courtroom. On New York streets outside the Manhattan Federal Courthouse, hundreds of protesters hoisted signs reading "Justice for Cassie and Truth Will Prevail." The New York Times on May 5, 2025, noted that women's rights groups organized marches hailing Cassie as a symbol of courage. Meanwhile, a smaller group of Diddy supporters gathered across the street, holding signs like "Don't Believe the Media." This polarization underscored the case's impact, not just in entertainment but in society. On X, #Justice for Cassie and #Free Diddy clashed, each drawing millions of interactions, turning the case into a cultural battleground. Rico's withdrawal, though its true reasons remained shrouded, marked a turning point. It exposed cracks in Diddy's legal empire, from internal discord to pressures from evidence and public opinion. Nechelise and Brafman, despite their prowess, faced a formidable adversary in Cassie Ventura, who transformed her pain into a weapon. Her testimony, from the hotel hallway video to the cover-up emails, was not just evidence, it was the voice of those silenced. Each detail she provided, from the young girl's panicked eyes to Diddy's cold demeanor, struck a blow to his defense, yet this story transcends Cassie and Diddy. The turmoil in Diddy's legal team, from Rico's enigmatic exit to Nechelise and Brafman's desperate efforts, reflects a broader truth: power, no matter how vast, can crumble before the truth. Rico's departure may have been a stand for conscience or a recognition that no strategy could counter Cassie's evidence. Nechelise and Brafman, though talented, are fighting a battle where public sentiment leans toward Cassie. And Cassie, once cloaked in shadow, has become a beacon of hope, not just for Diddy's victims, but for anyone silenced by oppression. The case raises profound questions. How does a lawyer balance ethics and duty when a client faces indefensible charges? How is justice served when money and influence sway the system? The answers lie in Cassie's steadfastness, the cracks Rico left behind, and the millions on X and the streets demanding truth. This case is not just a trial, it's a revolution, where a woman, a lawyer, and a community have challenged a titan. As the trial opened on May 5, 2025, the world watched. Can Nechelise and Brafman mend the breaches Rico left? Can Diddy extinguish Cassie's flame, or will the truth redefine his legacy? Each piece of evidence, each testimony, is a fragment in a complex mosaic, gradually exposing the dark corners of a once glittering empire. Cassie, with unwavering courage, has reshaped the game. Rico, with his mysterious exit, opened a new chapter, and as the pieces align, this story will endure as a reminder that truth, however long buried, will always find a way to rise. Diddy's lawsuit is rapidly emerging as one of the most explosive events in the entertainment world today. What initially appeared to be a mere conflict between a powerful man and his ex-lover has now unraveled into a legal battle with far-reaching implications. The media is closely monitoring the case, not just because of Diddy's legendary status in the music industry, but also due to the unpredictable twists that are adding new layers of complexity to the story. Certainly, the fracture within Diddy's legal team is not merely a sign of instability, it could severely compromise his defense in the upcoming trial. The mysterious withdrawal of key figures from his legal counsel has sparked widespread speculation about the credibility of the legal strategy Diddy is pursuing. This development alone has cast serious doubt on how well prepared he is for what might become the legal battle of his life. If his legal team continues to fragment and lacks cohesion, the consequences could be devastating. In a case of this magnitude, the absence of strong coordination among attorneys could not only weaken Diddy's defense, but also increase the risk of evidence being misrepresented or dismissed during proceedings. Furthermore, a poorly organized defense could lead to major legal missteps, giving the plaintiff a stronger platform to substantiate their claims, potentially paving the way for more serious criminal charges against Diddy. If he fails to mount a solid defense, he could face not only heavy civil penalties but also criminal consequences, a blow that would shatter the image of one of the most powerful figures in the entertainment industry. Within this context, Cassie emerges as a central figure in the legal drama.
Yet, her involvement has raised persistent questions about her true motives. Is Cassie truly seeking justice, or is this a long-delayed act of revenge for a painful past, marked by a relationship that ended in bitterness and emotional wounds? Despite the emotional impact of the leaked video and her testimony, doubts remain. Cassie maintains that she isn't trying to destroy Diddy, only to reclaim fairness, but many still question whether she can truly separate her pursuit of justice from personal trauma, and whether her statements are colored by unresolved emotions. One of the most intense elements of this case is the atmosphere of conflict and uncertainty on both sides. Diddy and Cassie share a long and complicated history, from a sweet romance to deep, irreconcilable conflict. Each has their own reasons for standing on opposing sides. However, this is no longer just a personal confrontation. It is Diddy versus a legal system full of intricacies, power plays, and danger. This is not merely about who is right or wrong. It's about the long-term damage this case could inflict, especially on Diddy. From the collapse of public trust and brand value to potential convictions and severe penalties, every factor paints a grim future for him. And while Cassie may continue to testify, Diddy now finds himself battling not only her allegations, but also the internal breakdown of his own defense team. This case is more than a legal matter. It reflects the broader conflicts of modern society: power, love, betrayal, and revenge. The story of Diddy, Cassie, and the cracks in Diddy's legal shield opens a window into the hidden truths behind the glitz of showbiz. In the end, it raises a profound question: can we truly trust what is presented in court, when so much is shaped by forces beyond the law? The story of Diddy and Cassie transcends the boundaries of a legal dispute between two former partners. It serves as a reflective mirror for the many layers of modern society: power, fame, trust, and moral boundaries. What provokes reflection lies not only in the course of events, but in the silent revelations, from the fractures within the defensive walls of the powerful to the hidden motivations of those once closely intertwined. No one can preserve a flawless public image forever. No matter how carefully crafted, even the most powerful individual or empire can crumble in an instant if the cracks, long concealed, are suddenly exposed. Safeguarding one's reputation cannot rely solely on media manipulation. It must begin with an authentic life, ethical conduct, and internal transparency. Without a solid foundation of integrity, external brilliance is merely a sandcastle waiting for the tide. Loyalty is not guaranteed in an environment governed by power. Those who seem committed to standing by your side may retreat at the first sign of danger or disagreement. The withdrawal of legal representatives at a critical juncture is a stark reminder: trust cannot be eternally sustained by money alone. Treating those around you with respect and sincerity may not yield instant results, but it is the only anchor strong enough to hold alliances together when storms hit. Personal emotions often blur the line between justice and sentiment. When a former partner steps into court with accusations, every word is scrutinized not only for its content but for its motive. This poses an immense challenge for those who have been hurt yet still seek to be heard. The only way to maintain clarity is to consciously separate emotion from truth, no matter how difficult that may be. Pain should never distort reality, just as strength should not be used as a shield against accountability. Neither fame nor power offers absolute protection. In the face of the law, all individuals stand on equal footing. Regardless of fan support or years at the pinnacle of success, a single misstep can bring an entire legacy crashing down. The most dangerous illusion is not public backlash, but the belief that one is immune to consequence.
In an era when every narrative can be re-examined at any moment, humility and awareness are the rare virtues that prevent one from becoming a victim of their own arrogance. Truth and trust are fragile concepts. Public opinion may waver and information may be distorted, but what occurs in the shadows will inevitably find its way into the light. Not everyone is given the chance to voice the truth fairly, but everyone bears responsibility for their past actions. Denial, deflection, or silence only prolongs the inevitable. They cannot erase what happened. In the end, no level of fame can shield a person from the harm they've caused. Professional triumphs should never be used to excuse or diminish the damage done in personal relationships. What once seemed like private matters can quickly become public reckonings with irreversible consequences. In a world where everything can be recorded, shared, and dissected, quiet decency may be the only virtue that remains incorruptible. When the truth finally comes to light, the question is no longer about winners or losers, but whether those involved have learned to live with greater responsibility, caution, and compassion in the wake of loss. Because regardless of the outcome, the wounds are real, the trust is gone, and no one can return to who they once were. Every twist in the case of Sean Diddy Combs has brought unexpected developments, revealing not only the conflicts between the opposing parties, but also the rift between Diddy and the public. The image of the hip-hop mogul, who once dominated both the music stage and the business world, is now slowly fading away, exposed by sharp testimonies, surprising evidence, and the betrayal of those who were once closest to him. From 4 consecutive denials of bail requests, according to Reuters, to unstable changes in legal strategy, these actions reflect not only the pressure in the courtroom, but also unveil cracks in the protective system that Diddy once placed his trust in. The complexity of the case is heightened by the role of Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, and the controversial decision of veteran attorney Anthony L. Ricco to withdraw. Ricco, who previously defended high-profile cases such as John A. Gotti, left the legal team in February 2025, citing professional ethics, according to the Wall Street Journal. Is the connection between Cassie's testimony and Ricco's departure merely a personal vendetta, or is it a calculated move to uncover secrets that Diddy has long tried to conceal? While the answer remains unclear, these details increase the dramatic tension, with countless unanswered questions keeping the public's eyes fixed on the case. Cassie, armed with evidence like internal emails and testimony about the freak-off parties, has transformed from a victim into a key witness, according to Bloomberg on March 3, 2025. Ricco's exit, coinciding with this moment, has raised suspicions about an invisible hand or an irreconcilable ethical conflict. In the end, the lawsuit is not just a legal battle, but a clash of reputation, power, and truth. As the dark corners of the case begin to be exposed, will Diddy's empire stand firm or collapse? The answer hangs in the balance, awaiting the court's ruling and the gaze of the public.